Hey, sports fans, PB and Z, Sports Chaos. All right, PB, preseason week one is almost complete. Got some games tonight. No major injuries so far, correct?
Surprisingly, no.
No, knock on wood. All right, we might have just jinxed it. Hey, by the way, the NBA, they inducted 12 guys for players, people. Let me take that back. People into Hall of Fame yesterday. One of them was one of my favorites, Becky Hammond, the coach for the San Antonio, the Vegas Aces. But she started with the San Antonio Spurs when Popovich made her the first female coach ever. Congrats to her. By the way, you know who's also named? Jimmy V. That speech still brings tears to my eyes every time I hear it. That one on the ESPYs like 30 years ago now, right?
Yeah, right.
That was a great speech. All right, we're going to talk AFC East today. We both have a lot of thoughts around the AFC East because we're fans of some teams in the AFC East and we live with them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we're going to get into it. We'll start out with the team that's probably going to be in last place. Hate to admit it, Patriots fans, but they're probably going to be in last place. We're going to talk about the Patriots. I think the over and under is what, seven and a half of them?
Yeah, 7.5.
And I don't even see. Well,
No, I don't either.
I'll interest in your perspective. I'll tell you what, 8-9 last year, probably going to be worse this year. They get deficits on offense. They go out and they draft two really decent defensive guys. Chris Gonzalez, which was a great pick at cornerback, but they needed offensive help. Then they get Keon White later on in the second round.
Yeah.
I think the best player they drafted was this kid, Demario Thomas, a wide receiver in the sixth round, who's lighting it up at camp right now. So we'll see. By the way, they made some moves in the offseason. I'm okay with Juju. I know people are like, oh, Juju Schuster. He can play. I'm not worried about it. Mike Gesicki is going to make some moves for them and help them out a lot, but they don't really have a game breaker at the end of the day. So I'm curious your thoughts on this team.
Yeah. I know, and it's one of those. It's a conundrum in a way because you're right. They're not. I don't think they're worse than last year. I think they've made some improvements, and last year they figured out a way to go 8-9. So
Well,
it's
one
like,
improvement is on offensive coaching.
well, right. And then you just talked about the other additions with Gesicki and Juju and some of the draft picks they got. So you could make the argument that they should be a little bit better than they were last year, which is probably why that line's sitting at 7.5. They went 8-9 last year, but I don't know. I can't find 8 wins on the schedule this year. I just can't do it as I look through, and especially now that you got to play the Jets, Dolphins, and Bills twice each with an much improved Jets team. They had the offensive and defensive rookie of the years on the team last year, Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. So
It used to be you could count on 2 wins against the Jets every year.
Right, exactly. Now they could go 0-6 in the division. They could. It's not out of the realm of possibility. They'll probably end up winning a game or two. Preseason doesn't mean anything to me. You talk about people lighting up in camp and all this other stuff. They're all playing against second and third teams. I don't put any stock into that at all. What I do put a little bit of stock though into is just kind of game planning and just how you go about the approach of a game. And I didn't see anything with the Patriots the other day. I mean, it was, with the exception of Cunningham's drive, I mean, there was nothing there. And then just look at the schedule. I mean, it's tough, right? You got to go to Dallas.
They could go 0-8.
Yeah. You got to go to Dallas, right? You got to go to Vegas. That's not an easy game. New Orleans at
Eagles
home.
at home, Dolphins at home, at Jets, at Cowboys, Saints at home, at Raiders, Bills at home, Dolphins at home.
Right. Until you get to that Washington Indy stretch at the Giants. I mean, those are all winnable games, but then Chargers at Pittsburgh, KC at Denver. I can't find that many wins on the schedule. I got them at 6-11 only because of their defense and hopefully an improved offensive scheme under, Bill O'Brien and all of that. So
right.
6 wins. I even finding 6 wins is just like those random games they win that you don't expect them to. So 6-11 is where I'm sticking.
Yeah, New Orleans, you said it. Washington, Colts. I think they can possibly win at Giants, at Pittsburgh. I think they could split with the Jets while they're getting their feet wet. And then the game that takes them to 7-10, I get them 6-11, but they upset Philly, like I talked about in our NFC East show, then they go 7-11. But I think it's 6-11 myself.
We both got them at 6-11. Yeah, so the under over 7.5, that's a good underplay because this team would have to win 8 games for you to lose that bet, which is tough.
Yes. So I'm going with 6-11.
All right.
Let's go to New York, the team that made the big splashes. They're on Hard Knocks because they went out and they signed AaronRodgers and about 1 million of his friends
Yep.
to play on offense with him, right? They
Yep.
were what, 7-10 last year. The spread is the over-under is 9.5, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
For the Jets, I believe it is nine
I
and a
saw
half.
9.5, yeah.
9.5. Which it's a little bit of a stretch. Hey, is this team a 10-win team? I don't know. I don't know if adding Aaron Rodgers makes that leap to that record. And their schedule also is very difficult. It's not an easy schedule, and you got to play the Bills twice. You got to play Miami twice. You got to, like you said, they probably could split with New England.
I got them split in the division. I got them going 3-3 in the division.
I think that's giving them a lot of. I think they're 2-4 at best in the
division.
In the division. I think it's
that means somebody sweeps them. Who sweeps them?
Oh, Buffalo or Miami could eat. Both of those teams could sweep them potentially.
Ooh, both those teams have suspect defenses. You got Aaron Rodgers. You got the offensive rookie of the year.
But you look at, they got to play it right. They open up at Buffalo at home on Monday Night Football. I think Buffalo smokes them. I just do. I think Buffalo comes out and smokes them. Then they got to go at Dallas. Then they play New England at home. All right, maybe that's a win. Kansas City, and then at Denver, and then Philly. I mean,
I agree. The winnable games are the Texans, Browns, Washington, Falcons, Raiders, Giants, Broncos. So that's the winnable games for them. And if they go 3-3 in the division, that puts them at 10-7.
Yeah, but you say winnable games, meaning they could lose one or two of those games you just mentioned.
They could. And by the way, they could turn around and go 4-2 in the division. So
they could. But at the end of the day, I got them 8-9.
Wow, you're way off base, man. You're smoking crack.
I got them 8-9.
They got too many skill players. Yeah. Too many skill players. And they got a defense.
I got them 8-9, dude.
Oh my God.
What do you got them at?
10-7. 10-7, and you know what? They may be ahead of Miami. We'll talk about them right now. I see you putting on your Miami shirt. Miami's also a 9.5 spread over under, same as the Jets. Last year they were 9-8, so only 2 games better than the Jets. They get nothing out of the draft. I mean, nothing. I think they drafted you in the 3rd round, if I'm not mistaken. So they get nothing out of the draft, right? They did sign Eli Apple at cornerback, and they got defensive coordinator Vic Fangio, who will make the defense better. But I'm interested. Unless they get Dalvin Cook, this team, tell me what you think.
I mean, that was out of necessity, too, getting Eli Apple. That was just because of the Jalen Ramsey injury.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, I've seen this team in camp, and I've gone to see him play in camp a couple times, and I'm not impressed. I have not been impressed. You know who has impressed me a little bit is A-Chain. A-Chain is looking pretty good. But again, it's preseason. I'm not going to put too much stock into it. Under was at 9.5. That tells you something too. Same under with the Jets, right?
Yes.
And obviously they got the same schedule essentially, right? As the rest of the division, and things like that.
I got them going 3-3 in the division. Maybe they sweep the Pats. They go 4-2.
I got them. You're probably gonna tell me I'm smoking something else here, but I do have them at 10-7. I have them finishing ahead of the Jets at 8-9. Could both those teams end up 9-8? Yeah. If the Jets win one more than I'm predicting, they would be 9-8. If Miami loses one more than I'm predicting, they would also be 9-8. But I got Miami at 10-7, and the Jets sitting at 8-9.
Ooh, I'll tell you what. Here is for me. So the wins of the Broncos, Giants, Panthers, Raiders, Washington, and Titans to go with 3-3 in the division. So that's 9 wins. They're tough games, though. They got to play Philly, KC, Dallas, Baltimore late in the year, and the Chargers the first game of the season. I'll tell you what, right now, the Chargers game at the beginning of the season will determine their fate. If they win that game, they go 11-6. If they don't, they go 10-7.
Okay, so you got them right there with me pretty much at 10-7 too.
And by the way, with the Jets.
Yeah, and that KC game is not in KC; it's in Germany. Keep that in mind.
Correct. Yeah. All right, we'll see. I mean, a lot rest, much like the Patriots, a lot rest on Mac Jones improvement. This team depends on Tua being healthy and being as well as he was at the beginning of last year for 6 games, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. But don't you think that
Dalvin Cook's a big thing. If they can sign Dalvin Cook, that changes the game.
That does change it a little bit. Another big playmaker, but Hill and Waddle are right up there in top 2 or 3 pairings of wide receivers in the NFL, right? You'd have to make an argument for that.
Oh yeah, but they get no short guy.
And then and then you got, you got to have a good if you can they complement some running backs there with Mostert and Wilson, and then add an A-chain to the mix. Maybe they can be explosive enough offensively, and their defense is improved. Their defense isn't the best, but it's improved, and that means a lot.
Let's put it this way: if you had to take their defense or the Jets defense, who are you taking?
Oh, the Jets all day long. All day long.
There you go. And the Jets have studs on offense as well, and they get AaronRodgers, who's not Tua. He's AaronRodgers, right?
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, but then I mean Garrett Wilson is also, but Hill and Waddle. You're not matching those 2 guys. But anyways, all right. So what do we got? Buffalo next, 13-4 last year. Over and under is what? I think 10.5, if I'm not mistaken. It is 10.5. I mean, how can you not like the over there? I mean, how can this team not win 11 games?
I agree. I think they were exposed last year in the playoffs by the Bengals, and that's going to hurt them a little bit. And everybody saw the playbook, how to beat them. I do like the tight end they drafted, Dalton Kincaid out of Utah, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And they got that guard from Florida, right? Osiris Torrance, I think his name is. So they added some players where they were a little bit challenged, I would say. They're not challenged at tight end. They got Knox. He's a decent tight end. But Kincaid go double tight end in the red zone where they struggled last year a little bit, believe it or not. We'll see. I think here's the deal with them. They're going to go 4-2 in the division easily because they're going to sweep the Pats. So they'll be 4-2 in the division. That helps a lot. Winnable games are the Raiders, Washington, Giants, Tampa Bay. How do they have Tampa Bay? No one else in the division does, but they do. And Broncos.
Yeah.
So that puts them at 9 wins alone right there. There you go.
Right. And they have at Cincy, at Philly, at KC, at the Chargers.
That's it. PB, you're right. At Cincy, at Philly, at KC, at the Chargers. That's 4 tough games. Dallas, but it is in Buffalo on December 17th. So they've got a tough, and the Jags. They played them home state team, but that's in Europe, I believe, right? So those 6 games are going to make up this team right now. They're going to get 9 games. And those 6 games make the season up.
Yeah, and they finish up at Miami, which is actually is still as a TV. I have season tickets, so it's still a TBD game. It doesn't have a time yet for it, so that's definitely going to flex in potentially. So yeah, the schedule's tough, but you know what? This to me, the Bills, Bengals, Chiefs. I mean, you're talking about the class of the AFC, and I think this team still wins games. So I have them sitting at 12-5 because all those games you mentioned that are the tough ones on the road, they still win. They split those in my mind.
They split them. Yeah, correct. You're right. I got them splitting those games. They go 12-5 as well. But if they go in 2-4 or worse, 1-5, they're in the same bed as the Jets and the Dolphins.
If
the wild card for all these teams is here's the wild card for all these teams. I hate to say it, Pats fans. Who sweeps the Pats? That's the wild card in this division.
Yeah.
If one of these teams sweeps the Pats, and God forbid Belichick pulls something out of his ass and he sweeps one of these teams, there's the difference. The Pats are the ones who are going to disrupt this division. Not by winning it, by disrupting it, by beating somebody.
Upsetting, yeah. So you have Buffalo at 12-5 like me, right?
Yeah.
And you have Miami at 10-7 like me?
No, actually I gave them a little more credit. I gave them 11-6.
You gave them 11-6, okay. And you got the Jets at 10-7.
I do.
And you have New England same as me, 6-11?
Yes.
All right. I got more. You got more wins than I do in that division for sure.
I think it's other than the AFC North, right, where the Bengals are. This is the toughest division in my mind.
All right. So we've gone through all 8 divisions, which means next up we have to do a fantasy show, but then we also do our complete breakdown of NFL predictions, who's in the playoffs, who's advancing, all that kind of stuff. So that'll be a fun show. And we have the college show. So in the next 3 weeks, until all this action starts kicking in,
all football.
We're going to be bringing it. We're going to be bringing it, right?
The football show. That's for sure, my man. All right. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.